Hello, this is Opinion Radar, your trusted companion for honest reviews from the heart of the workshop. I'm an older fellow who spent decades tinkering with all sorts of gadgets, and today I'm excited to chat about the WEN LA4444 Chuck, priced at a wallet-friendly $47. This 4-inch for jaw self-centering number is making waves among woodturners. But let's be real, it's not just about the specs. It's about whether it fits into the rhythm of a busy shop. I've given a thorough run, and I'm here to walk you through what I discovered, the surprises along the way, and how it stacks up for folks like us who value reliability over flash. Pull up a stool, and let's dig into the details together. Well now, if you're anything like me and have spent a good chunk of your life in the workshop, you know that finding the right chuck for your lathe can make all the difference. I recently picked up the WEN LA4444 4-inch 4-jaw self-centering chuck, and honestly, for the price of around $47, it caught my eye as a solid entry-level option. It's got that classic 4-jaw design that's self-centering, which means it grabs onto your workpiece evenly without a lot of fuss. The 1-inch by 8 TPI thread fits right onto most standard lathes, and from what I've seen, it's built with a decent heft to it. Feels like quality steel in your hands. I've used it on my old General Industries lathe, and it mounted up perfectly, no wiggle or slop. If you're just starting out or upgrading from something flimsy, this chuck gives you a sense of reliability without breaking the bank. It comes with the basics you need to get secured, and for those of us who like to tinker, it's got that straightforward, no-nonsense vibe that reminds me of the tools my dad used to swear by. One of the things I really appreciate about this WEN Chuck is how it performs out in the shop during real projects. I've taken it through its paces on everything from small spindles for chair legs to turning a few bowl rims, and it holds up surprisingly well when you get the setup right. The self-centering jaws grip evenly, which is a godsend for keeping things balanced at speed. No more wobbling that drives you nuts. I remember one afternoon turning a magic wand for my grandkid. It clamped down tight and let me focus on the cuts without worrying about the piece slipping. It's particularly handy for smaller items like pens or cups, especially if you're working on a mini lathe like the Rockler Excelsior some folks mention. The 4-jaw system lets you switch between different jaw sets if you want to expand later, and I found it easy to swap out with a quick twist of the included rods. For weekend warriors like me, it's the kind of tool that turns a frustrating session into one where you actually enjoy the process. Now, let's talk about what makes this chuck shine, because there are some real positives that stand out after using it for a while. First off, the value is unbeatable. I've seen chucks 3 times the price that don't feel as sturdy. The build quality is solid. It's got that heavy-duty feel without being overly cumbersome, and the tolerances are tight, so there's no unwanted play when you're spinning at high RPMs. I've clamped everything from soft pine to harder maple, and with proper prep, like cutting a matching bevel on your blank, it holds like a champ. One feature I like is a compatibility with other accessories. If you're into Nova chuck parts, this fits right in, which opens up options without needing a whole new setup. It's also simple to tighten down evenly, and once it's locked, it stays put through aggressive cuts. For an older guy like me who values straightforward tools, it's refreshing to have something that just works without a steep learning curve. That said, I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't share the hiccups I've run into, because no tool's perfect, especially at this price point. The big one for me is the tightening mechanism. It takes 2 hands to get those jaws cranked down properly, and sometimes you're left fumbling for an extra set of hands or bracing the workpiece with your knee. I've had moments where I'm trying to secure a bowl blank and wish it had a single turning handle like fancier models. Another thing to watch is the hold strength. It's good, but not bulletproof. If you don't cut your gripping areas just right, or if the wood's a bit irregular, things can loosen up under load. I learned that the hard way on a spinning spindle that backed off a tad mid-turn. Nothing disastrous, but it got my heart racing. And for heavier setups, like with big flat jaws, the lack of a set screw on the shank means it can unseat if you're using the hand wheel to slow down. It's manageable with care, but you gotta stay vigilant. Speaking of those issues, I did a bit of detective work after hearing similar complaint from other turners, and I realized a lot of it boils down to technique and a simple mod. The chuck doesn't come with a lock screw, which is why I can back off, especially with inertia from larger jaws. I ended up drilling and tapping the collar myself. Use an M6X 1.0 tap with plenty of oil and went slow to avoid snapping anything, and installed a set screw. Now it's rock solid. No more worries about it flying off during a stop check. The steel's not hardened everywhere, but the threads were tougher, so you need patience. I felt the tap flex a couple times and backed it out frequent like. Once that's done, the chuck transforms into something more dependable. It's not a fix for everyone, but if you're handy, it's worth the hour in the shop. For beginners, though, this highlights a learning curve. Always double check your setup, and maybe have a tailstock handy for extra support on tricky jobs. Looking back at my time with the WEN LA4444, I'd say it's a great pick for hobbyists dipping their toes into wood turning, but it's got its quirks you need to respect. The pros, affordability, solid build, and versatility, outweigh the cons if you're willing to put in a little effort, like that set screw mod or mastering the two-rod tightening. I've spun dozens of pieces now, from simple pens to more ambitious bowls, and it's earned a spot in my rotation. If you're a seasoned turner expecting premium ease of use, you might feel the pinch. But for folks like me who've been at this for years, it's a reminder that good tools don't always cost a fortune. I'd recommend it to anyone starting out or looking for a budget workhorse, with the caveat to take your time learning it. In the end, it's about the joy of creating, and this chuck gets you there without a fuss. Just watch your grip, and you'll be turning masterpieces in no time. Well, folks, that's the rundown on the WEN LA4444. If this chuck helped you visualize your next project, don't let the conversation stop here. Chuck a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep those lathes spinning and creativity flowing together. Take care and happy turning.